Okay, and we're live. Good morning, Derby. Welcome again to the show. We have quite a few of us in the room again today, and some faces that you've not met before as well. So we're looking forward to introducing you to them shortly. If you've been following us all week, a very, very warm welcome back. We've been very encouraged by your support and the comments and so on online and social media and on the videos themselves, and all the views that we've had on all of our videos have been absolutely fantastic. So we've loved all of that, and we've really been encouraged by your support. If it's the first time you've joined us, this is the Derby Arboretum online festival. Every year, the Derby Arboretum, a jewel in the crown of Derby, the oldest park in the public park in the industrialised world. Every year we celebrate its anniversary in September, and we celebrate it using well, I say using, but by celebrating with the local community and all the people that organisations that are involved on the park in Lark in the Park. And Lark in the Park has musicians, dancers, workshops, readings, poetry, market stalls, selling plants, and so on and so forth. Obviously, we live in a very difficult world at the moment with COVID-19 affecting so many things, and us no less. It's affected us as well. So that is why this year, a very important year, it's the 180th anniversary, we've put it online. So instead of our one-day Lark in the Park festival, we're bringing you 9 days of content and online, and we're on day 8. So welcome back those, and welcome to those of you who've just joined us, and so on. So we've got plenty for you coming up during the week. So very sadly, tomorrow is the last day. Everyone that's been on the show has been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it, and we've had lots and lots of activities that you can take part in. We have Jo here. Jo, give us a wave. She's been doing a regular segment for us on Guess the Year of old photographs at the park, and I've certainly learned a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know, and photographs that I didn't know existed about the park. So she'll be giving us those photographs again towards the end of the show today. And there are still activities that you can take part in. So if you post photographs of your favourite tree on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, or you can do that also in YouTube, on Twitter. But use the hashtag DerbyArbo 2020. That's hashtag DerbyArbo 2020, just so we can filter through and we can find your contribution. So your favourite tree, why is it your favourite tree? And tell us, and we'll share it on the show tomorrow. All the contributions, they kind of trickled in a little bit at the beginning, but they've kind of snowballed a bit towards the end. It's a completely new concept, a completely new show, so that perhaps in hindsight was expected. So what we've decided to do is collect them all together and share them on tomorrow's show. So there's still time to send in your favourite tree with the hashtag DerbyArbo 2020. And earlier on in the week, on Sunday, day 2 of the festival, we had make your own decorative balloons. So we had Jenny from Spiral Arts, who we premiered a workshop from her. I think it was the first time she'd done a video workshop, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I've got my balloons, but I forgot wallpaper paste, so I'm hoping that's coming today, and I can make the balloon, and hopefully I'll have one to share tomorrow as well, if all of the right bits and pieces come along. So if you watch that workshop, and you know, today or Saturday, if you're looking for things to do for the family, tune into that workshop, watch that, and it's stuff that's in the house. It's a balloon that I think you put the papier mâché around the balloon, and then you pop it and you pull it out. It's very technical, but ever so quite simple. Looks very satisfying, that's what I mean. You pull the balloon out, and then you've got this lovely balloon that you can hang a basket underneath. So watch that. Obviously, me saying it doesn't really get it across quite so well, but it's easy to do using stuff that you've just got available to you in your house. So watch that. There's still time to do that. Make a lovely hot air balloon, hang it up in your home, take a photograph, We'll show it with the others that have already come in so far on the show tomorrow. And also on the Derby Parks website and also on our social media channels, you'll see that there is a hot air balloon, a drawing of a hot air balloon with 180 across the top. And it's very, very pretty. And we've had a few come in already where that's been downloaded, coloured in, a photograph has been taken, put on social media with hashtag DerbyArbo 2020. And so we'll show all of those. We'll show the balloons, the coloured in balloons, and we'll show the trees tomorrow as well. So if you want your creations showcased, then get them in by today, and then we can pull them all together. And as Joe was mentioning to me earlier, so we'll have a nice sort of Tony Hart type exhibition of all of this artwork and creativity. So what's been coming into that so far has been absolutely fabulous, and so we'd love to see more of it. And I'd like to, before we introduce everyone in the room, it's a very special day today because we're talking about people on the park, and the park is all about the people that use it. It is a very, very beautiful park. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and it's beautiful in very unique and special ways and very historical ways as well. So it's a wonderful setting, but it's the people that use the park that makes it, that matters. It is all about the people at the end of the day. So we will that's the topic for today, but I do want to make a few shout outs before then of all the people that have been interacting with us on social media. And one of them is a very, very special one. I didn't know about them until they became our 300th follower on Twitter. And our 300th follower on Twitter, and this is what triggered a conversation as well between the Friends and this organisation. This organisation is the COVID-19 Memorial Forest Fund, and they are raising awareness, funds, and so on. To try and organise a forest which would memorialise all of those that have suffered and, of course, unfortunately, died from COVID-19, which I think is a lovely idea, and I do wish them every success in that. If you want to find out more about them, you can go to Twitter, and their handle is @Forest of Memory, so you can look them up, give them a follow, and just spreading the word but just by following them will be helpful. And their website is theforestofmemories.com. So a big shout out to them, and thank you for being our 300th follower and supporting us as well. And also a shout out to Paul Morley, who made a mention on Twitter on Wednesday on the 180th anniversary, and he was saying there's not enough of this on the news. This is such an important park, the 180th anniversary. It's the oldest park, urban park in the world, dedicated specifically to the public, and it's such a beautiful park, and it's not mentioned that much on the news. And we here at the Friends of Derby Arboretum couldn't agree more with you, Paul. But we would like to say, aside from that, is a big thank you to Radio Derby, because they have supported us this week. They've put some slideshows out. They've interviewed Joe a couple of times, and we were on the show last night with Martin Williams and Jack Timon, what to do at the weekend. And thank you so much for talking so much about the Derby Arboretum last night. That really is appreciated. So thank you so much for all your support. And I did kind of tune into the conversation that Martin and Jack were having on that show. And one of the things that they were asking was the Derby Arboretum really really an inspiration for the Central Park in New York? And so I can confirm that that's a yes to that question that you were both pondering on the radio show. And the quiz today will actually let's pop into the quiz. Let's do that and bring that up. The quiz today is about Central Park in New York, but let's give a shout out to our community park officers, Mick McNaught and Sarah Webster, who really have been absolute rocks and supporting us through this online festival and all of the things that we needed to do to put this together, and even appearing in some of our shows as well. And we asked the question that you've met Mick and Sarah already on our shows, but how many community park officers are there in Derby? And I'm wondering if some community park officers have been answering this, because it's a resounding correct answer of 4. I think perhaps someone thought I was trying to trick them with the just 2 on there as well. So I think that was a very clever guess, whoever made that guess. But obviously the people who are answering this probably knew the answer. So we have 4 community park officers, and that gives me the opportunity to say a big thank you to those community park officers who really do look after the green space that we have in Derby, and right across Derby. I understand there are some Green Flag Awards that have already been awarded for this year as well. So we've done very well. Done very well out of that, and that's obviously no small part thanks to those community parks officers. So the quiz this week, and you can find that on Twitter, there are lots of start dates for the Central Park in New York, because it was a very big, complicated park to set up. It's much bigger than the Derby Arboretum. So I'm asking, when did the physical work begin on the creation of Central Park in New York, and was that 1837, 1847 or 1857? So you can go on to Twitter. I think people have been guessing this one already. So that's up there. And finally, a couple of more shout outs. We have St Thomas from Pear Tree Church there, that usually does the tea stall when the Lark of the Park festival actually runs physically within the park. But they've been commenting on our videos, and one of the comments that they made is, "We really miss celebrating with you. Thanks so much for all these films. We are learning all sorts of new things." So thank you very much for your support as well. Not just the tea stalls when you're in the park, but also for your fabulous support online as well. And finally, a shout out to Natural Derbyshire Tours, and I don't know much about them, I must confess, but they have been supporting us and retweeting us as well, so they deserve a shout out. So their hashtag on Twitter, or hashtag their handle on Twitter, is at Tours Nature. So Natural Derbyshire Tours, obviously that sounds like it's good fun as well. So those are all my introductions. So as I and shout outs, etc. And as I mentioned, today's show is all about people of the park. So who we have in the room with us today is Joe, who you will have met before, who's the chair of the Friends of Derby Arboretum. We have Rowan, who, if you've been on all of the shows, you'll have met Rowan as well. So Rowan is also a member of the Friends of the Derby Arboretum, and also a keen volunteer for the community garden, and she also runs the Hounds of the Park. So you can go onto Facebook and look at all the dogs that appear in the park. An absolutely fascinating sight, all these beautiful dogs that use the park. And we have Claire as well, who's also a member of the Friends of Derby Arboretum. And the reason we have Rowan and Claire on the show today is because they've made a very beautiful film, and you cannot help to be charmed by this film called People of the Park. And I think this will really, I think this has historic value to it, this video. It's very beautiful. And then we also have Jimmy with us as well. So Jimmy, give us a wave. And Jimmy holds the status as one of the people of the park, and Rowan has invited him on because Jimmy, you have been using the park or walking through the park. You were telling me for, if I may say, for over half a century. Is that right? You've got your mute on at the moment, just in case your words of wisdom in the first few sentences are going to come out. So if you just unmute yourself, and we could probably hear you. Rowan's going to come over and sort that out. Well, whilst Rowan's sorting that out, let's Joe. I know that I don't know if you saw the film. I'm sure you did. The films yesterday that we premiered, the Mayfest and the Pancake Race. I wasn't in either of those. Well, Mayfest last year and Pancake race was in February this year, and I have to say that they just look brilliant fun. And that's just looking at them in the films. What are they like in real life?
The Pancake Race was hilarious because we did several races. Yeah, they really were fun. I shared some photos yesterday of the police race, and when we shackled two of them together as for a three-legged race, that really was just, ace.
Is that something illegal, shackling two policemen together?
It probably is, but it was with their full consent.
Right, well, that's okay.
It was great entertainment for all the youngsters, kind of looking on. Yeah, but this year it's been really sad that we've had to set aside two of our major events, the Mayfest and the Lark in the Park, and we've not had everybody together in the park, enjoying the environment, gathering together, enjoying the stalls and the activities and everything else. It's really been a pity. Although I must say that this week of online appearances has been very good in its way, and I think we might have to find a way of combining the two. I think that's something that a lot of organisations have found, actually, that the situation has forced them to problem solve, but in fact the solutions they've found have got great merit in themselves. So I think this has been wonderful. There's no other way that we could have posted all of those videos and had that participation in that way, which has a permanence. People can go back to it and look at it again and again, except for that little clip of the 1960s, of course, which is only online for 2 weeks.
Well, that's right. There is no substitute, of course, for being on the park itself and interacting in that way. But yes, it has been fun online as well. So maybe combining the two in the future. And Jimmy, we have you on sound, which is fantastic. So yes, you were telling me just earlier on that you've spent many years in the park. And what does the Derby Arboretum mean to you?
It's just home, basically. I've lived here all my life, and I've been through this park all my life, and I still live by the park. So this is just a big part of my everyday life.
Gosh, and what are your earliest memories of the park?
I'm going to school at the Resel Inference at the bottom here. It's a walk from Dashwood Street through the park every morning, and so that's my earliest memories at 5.
5 years old, my goodness. And as part of the school, did they organise trips into the park or activities in the park? When
I was younger, yes, they had a lot more activities than they do now. There's more, at them times, it was more community-based. A lot of it was community-based, and it was all from the community, for the community. But now it's a bit more fragmented.
Okay, so that's an interesting observation. Do you think that is because there's a growth in the use of the park in recent years? What would you put it down to?
I just think I put it down to a lack of interest through because when I was younger, a lot of the activities which were put on were run by the council, and they had a lot of input. I remember going on holidays from here to Skegness for 2 weeks, and the park organised all these things. And every evening at the top of the gate, Resel Street, there was the big house. There was a club. So every evening we had a club to go to. And there's 6 weeks holidays when it's children. There's always activities on the park. And within that 6 weeks, we'd go to Skegness for 2 weeks. So and all the kids, especially the more poorer kids, were more involved, and there's more interactive in that sense. And the schools were involved, and the councillors involved, and the people around the surrounding areas were involved more. But I think since that's been taken away, the interest died because there's no energy left.
And do you think that it has made any difference in the last 4 or 5 years since the grant, the lottery funding has sort of renovated the park and so on? Or have you has there been time to notice any of those effects, do you think? Do you feel any of those?
I see
a lot more?
I see the difference. I've seen the renovating, and I've seen the changes, but I've not seen any local participation from the local people in the area. I've seen outside people come here, but I've not seen any of the local people.
So that's an important lesson for us. And obviously, as the Friends of Derby Arboretum, I think maybe Joe might want to mention a bit on that, because it was instigated in order to perhaps reverse a little bit of that trend. Would you agree, Joe?
Yes, we revived the Friends of Derby Arboretum only about 4 years ago. We became a charity in 2017, and we are local residents from immediately around the park, and we would love to have a lot more people join us. At the moment, we're quite a big mailing list, but comparatively small active group. And the other thing I was going to say was, of course, in the time that Jimmy is talking about, there have been huge changes in local government. And whereas at one time, I think that local councils, probably did have the funds to give a big input to the activities in a park. At the moment, their staffing numbers are scaled right back. I mean, we've heard that the parks in Derby, of which there are over a dozen, and some of them are huge, have only 4 community parks officers. And so they are spread extremely thinly, and there just isn't at the moment the funding for all these extra activities. It's being thrown back onto the local community. So that's why it's really important that we run our events, that they are central to the local area.
So do you enjoy the events? Do you think they're an important way forward for the park, Jimmy?
I think it could be a lot better. I think it could be a lot more exciting. I think it could be a lot more kind of just better. I think. Yeah. I think if people got in, what it would be nice is to, if you could imagine, if you've seen there's so many diverse communities within Normanton now, if you could imagine some of those communities, or some of those kind of cultures all coming together once a year and all doing what they do and showcasing it. Yeah. I mean, and I think where the problem is, where I've just heard the lady speak, I'm sorry I don't know your name. I think when we put funding in it, this is what, in my mind, this is what distorts it and confuses it and deflates people in a sense. And I think if we look into the council for funding, the council, you have to jump over so many hoops, and at the end of the result, it's not really you, it's about the council's ethos rather than your feeling. Yeah. And I think if the community was known about this, in a sense, say imagine if we put on an event for say for next year, and went to every. So I went to the Romanians, went to the Asians, went to the Blacks, went to the Africans, every culture, and asked them, the leaders of their communities, if they would be willing to put on within their communities an activity on Arboretum Park without no funding. I think when we bring the money into it, I think we can do it ourselves. We don't need to have funding from the council. And I think it's them that suppress us, basically. And this is what I really need to jump in.
I need to jump in here, because we have very, very little funding, and we try desperately hard in all the ways that Jimmy has said to involve the local community and to get them to come and perform. And if you look at the videos that we've posted, you can see some of the different communities around us have actually contributed videos, and they would usually be performing at our Lark in the Park event. The events are for the local community, so they don't attract thousands of people, and they don't attract a huge amount of funding. We manage, a very scaled back performance. But I'm totally in agreement with Jimmy, with everything he said about local community participation. Please, do join us, become involved, join in, give us your ideas.
Okay.
It is absolutely vital. And I also believe, with a very important point that Jimmy made, which is that people should, I believe, contribute to their local community as much as they possibly can without expecting to be funded or to have reward. I think that there's a huge pleasure that comes from joining with your local community and giving something in, sharing your interests and your passions, just for the sheer pleasure of it, like you would with a group of friends, without needing a huge amount of funding. That funding is never going to be there again in our lifetimes, probably. So we have to do it.
So Jimmy, that obviously seems to have met with some resonance of speaking to all of those different communities that you've listed and rolled off your tongue, is that there are so many diverse and different communities around the park. Would you add anything to that idea of speaking to those leaders of those each of those communities?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I understand. I agree with what the ladies just said, but I know, like, my area probably a little bit. I understand more the cultures then. I mean, I work in a community centre. I'm involved in the community a lot more, and I know the potential within this area, which is not being tapped into. And the reason it's not being tapped into is because, like, you're not aware of it. So, like, they've invited me now to be a part of, then I can go and speak to these people and involve them, and they would be happy, more than happy, to know that there's something like this available.
And when you, as part of your work, as I understand it, you're a care worker, Jimmy, when you talk to your clients, if I can call them that, what do they tell you about the Derby Arboretum?
Well, they don't say nothing per se, in the sense that it's not something which I speak of, because it's not something which has been made available up until now. So the conversation is never really had. And even though I live a stone's throw away from here, it's not. If you're not involved, you don't know. You might see the posters up here and there, but it's not really engaging in you because there's no real foundation set yet. The foundation needs to be set first.
I hope that Jimmy will enjoy.
But we've still got. It's very interesting that we've still got challenges there to overcome, and that's very important. Claire, you had a point.
Yeah. Oh, is that too echoey?
No, it's okay.
That's fine.
So one of the things that we've been starting to do is have this kind of communication. And that's why we made this film.
Yes, if I can, I hope if I can pick up on, because it's a bit whistly there, and pick up on Claire's point that it is something that certainly matters to us. It also matters to us as if it's actually working or not. So everything. So it's very interesting to hear those points. And it's a new film that Rowan and Claire put together. And I must admit, and my own ignorance is watching that film, I didn't realise quite the diversity of the people that are using the park, and the diversity of the different needs and what they get from the park as well. So that was a bit of an eye-opener, really, and it's a very beautiful film as a result. And Jimmy, you obviously care about the Derby Arboretum a great deal. What are some of your fondest memories of the park?
I think it's more to do with family. I remember having lots of family times on here, like picnics with mum, dad and children, playing football, and just having, this park brings very happy memories, sad memories, everything. And like I say, it's not just a park. I call it my garden, basically. And I'm just thankful to the park keepers and the people who lock it, that they look after it for me. So I've built up this like thing in my head that it's my garden, and I actually see it as that. So it's not something I see as outside of me. It's part of me, and it's not something I make a big deal. It's not something I make a big deal of. It's just a normal, natural thing, as though it was your house and your garden you have there. It's not. It's just a natural thing.
And are there any favourite trees that you have in the park?
Well, all of them are my favourite trees, because I think the word arboretum means a collection of trees, and I'm aware of that. And I know all these trees come from all the different parts of the world. And even my African friends notice that they see trees here that they've seen in Africa. So that really amazes me. But the whole feel of the park, it's just, I know that the greenery, it absorbs your energy and gives you energy. And I'm aware of that. So I breathe this park in that sense.
That's a lovely expression, by the way. I breathe this park. I'll certainly take that with me. But also, I'd not made the connection before, and you just made it for me, that there are people of different nationalities that are using the park who must know those trees from different parts of the world, because they are international trees. And what a connection to the rest of the world. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, and they are all really beautiful, and I like the concept that they're all favourite trees. I don't think I would have called myself a tree hugger before I came to the Derby Arboretum, but I find myself actually putting my hand on the trunks of those trees because they are so majestic and beautiful, and they're not the same as one another. They are a diverse collection of trees. So that metaphor is something that you've taught me today, Jimmy. Thank you. And I hope you'll stay with us for the rest of the hour. That's enlightening, and I can imagine some long conversations between you, Jimmy, and Joe after the show, as well, about how incorporating these local communities better and integrating it. I think we can learn an awful lot from you. So yeah, thank you so much, Jimmy. And Rowan, could we you're on. You're live. You're
Hi.
You've made a really beautiful film. So I've watched that. I watched that 2 days ago when we were uploading it.
Oh, brilliant.
And it reminds me of some of the sort of social history films that have been made occasionally in the past, and you've interviewed so many people on the park. So basically, this film, People of the Park, Rowan and Claire have got, I don't know how they've done it, but it must be their charm. They've actually persuaded people to talk on camera and tell us why they use and love the park. And it is. I'm going to wax lyrical here. It's probably one of the loveliest films I've seen in a long time, and it's a homemade.
Wow.
And I include all other films I'd see on TV in that as well. I think it will be referenced, I believe, for years to come. And could you tell us a little bit about sort of making that film? Perhaps Yes, do. How's Claire getting on? Does she want to sit with you? I mean, I know you're in the same kind of collection of 6 there, so does she want to sit with you on your computer? Would that make
I'll tell you what, if I could just get a word in, I could answer all of your questions.
Give you the limelight first.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, we're having a terrible feedback loop problem here today, so I think we'll just use my computer and everyone we'll just have to take turns. Okay, so it's initially Claire's idea, I think, to try and interview people on the park, but we have both of us long suspected that the Friends group doesn't quite get the fact that there are lots and lots of diverse, ordinary, interesting people that use the park every day, and they walk their dogs, they exercise their children, if I can say that. They don't necessarily know the names of the trees or how old the park is, or can identify old photographs. Got feedback again, haven't we? So what we want, so we did, oh Christ, can you actually hear? So we went out every day, sometimes today, so it's very difficult. There's
Maybe
not a lot of
it's your
feedback.
computer, maybe switch to Claire's computer.
But Claire was just having the same problem, wasn't she?
Rowan,
The same
Yeah.
Well,
on this one.
Okay, hang on.
Jimmy to the rescue. Well, yes. So Joe. I mean, I think you had some thoughts earlier on that whilst they're
Oh, don't worry about that.
connecting up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are the lovely balloons behind Rowan as well. The balloons that were.
God, that's loud.
So Rowan's back with us. That's absolutely great. And maybe we just have to switch everything else off.
It's so loud. Right, so where was I? Yeah, so we went out nearly every day, sometimes twice a day for 3 weeks, trying to get people to be on our film. But we had an awful lot of refusals, actually. There were lots of people that just didn't want to, and that was fine. We didn't press them. But the people that did say yes, we were so grateful. And during the editing process, I had to cut off so many endless gratuitous thank yous. It just sort of, because we were just so grateful. What was really one of the really interesting things was that even some young people that we were sort of calling youth, they knew that this was an old park. They knew it was the first park, and a lot of them even knew the name of Joseph Strutt. So you think that would be something that an older generation would know about. But so it was, there were 2 guys we really wanted to get them. I think they were in their late teens. They were playing Pokemon, and but they didn't want to. But one of those boys knew about Joseph Strutt. So that was interesting. Another interesting thing was as you watch the film, an awful lot of people, I'd say it was nearly every other contributor, used the word peaceful about the park. And or the term green space. And I started to think, Claire, they're going to think we're feeding them this, but we honestly weren't. People from different cultures as well. Well, yes, different nationalities using that word. Not even their mother tongue. Amazing.
And you say it wasn't their mother tongue. You actually asked them to speak in their own language. I'm really curious. I mean, and you asked a lot of them to do that, and I'm very curious because obviously I don't speak any other languages of English. I'm very apologetic to say.
Well, not even Italian.
I don't speak Italian, I'm afraid. But they spoke. What did you ask them to say?
Well, this was Claire's idea to ask them to speak in their own language, and I think it's absolutely genius because it added such a beautiful element to the film. Claire asked them to say exactly pretty much what they just said in English, what they liked about the park in their own language, and we got 7 different languages. Could have got 9, but we forgot to ask the Romanian badminton players to speak in their own language, and Sabine, Claire's friend Sabina, didn't want to speak in her native German. She's South African. Czechoslovakian, Urdu, an interesting combination of Urdu and Punjabi, which I did write it down. I've given the piece of paper to Claire. Is it called Mijai? Do you know? It's got a name of its own, this combined language. Czechoslovakian, possibly Slovakian, and Hungarian and Portuguese.
Yes.
Well, it was wonderful. I mean, all the different.
Oh, no, hang on. Gujarati as well, English obviously, and this combination language I think is called Mijai. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right.
But handed to you directly in the Derby Arboretum television studios, so I can see you've got your team behind you, giving you those languages as well. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. Can I just say our other guest Nanda has arrived.
Oh right, fantastic. And this lady, she's a youth community worker, is that right?
Yes, I believe so. She's another of Claire's. I don't really have any friends. It's all Claire.
True.
Just
you're the friend of all the beautiful dogs on the park. But yes, whilst Nanda's sitting down and getting settled, yeah, completely agree with you. There was a consistent message, wasn't there, of peaceful and the pride as well in the park. And they did know the two sort of key stories of who donated the park. It was the oldest park.
Oh, and a lot of them knew about the New York connection as well.
Yeah, so a lot of them mentioned that, but what sort of came through with that it was kind of, that was a sort of a social history as well. People are telling each other that, and they said, they were saying in the, did you know, as well. So it's just tremendous pride.
Yeah, things filtering down.
Yeah, absolutely, and a huge diversity in other things that they were saying. And I was listing them all down of what all these people were saying. It's why they were using the park. It was on their way to work. It was for the fresh air, time with the family, cycling, exercise, playing games, community, work, picnics, to make friends.
Dogs.
A lot of people. Dogs is on there as well, and I'll get in trouble if I don't say dogs. But yes, dog walking, just activities in general. So actually just mentioning the word activities, and you can see that there are activities, as you say, like there were the family that were playing badminton. Seeing the seasons change. Oh, hello. This one's Dora, isn't it?
Yes.
So Dora, you're live.
Good girl.
So yes, seeing the seasons change, someone mentioned, which I thought was lovely. And mental health, someone mentioned that as well, and also tourism, that people are actually visiting the park because of its history as well. So it's a huge list of different things, isn't it?
One of our contributors is just walking past.
Oh, right, through the window. Yes, I noticed on one of the cameras that there's people walking past and waving in as well. So you can see that lovely view.
We're all going to be using the same computer now because of the feedback loop. So the name thing will be wrong. But if I can perhaps get Nanda to...
So we know you're not Jimmy, you're Rowan, and we're having Nanda going to sit down at your computer just shortly.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And then tell us, Rowan, about the balloons behind you, because you interviewed the film, didn't you, with your well shot?
Yes, Diana runs this lovely thing for mental health art for people who perhaps haven't been very well at some point. And these balloons were made by her people, and I think she delivered all the materials to them, and then they made them, and here they are, and they're lovely.
Well, when I heard about that, I thought that was fantastic. It just never occurred to me before, an art delivery project. So Guy was sending these kits to people that were isolating for long periods of times, or needed them for one reason or another.
Idea,
really nice. And
I think Jenny and Maureen do that too. Actually, I think they've sent out some packs for various things.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, they did, while send out packs to some of their groups. It was just absolutely necessary, school groups and over the summer holidays. I was going to just suggest that maybe while Nanda gets settled down, I just do the slides quickly, and then we can give Nanda the rest of the time. If you mute that one, and then I can, then it doesn't matter how much noise you make. Okay. Are you all right with that, Natalie?
Yeah, that sounds like an excellent idea. So, Joe, you're going to tell us if anyone guessed the year right, and show us some more photographs.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Perfect.
So I'm going to screen share.
So we had the Illuminate yesterday, didn't we? So beautiful illuminations of the park and other buildings. And you were asking people to guess the year on those
years and locations. Yes, years and locations.
So
the statue was Henry Royce in 1933. So that's when those illuminations were.
Screen at the moment.
What?
We can't see that screen at the moment.
I pressed screen share. Okay, sorry folks.
It's all this new technology that we're all,
We have got
getting used to.
gremlins. Honestly, we've got them today, and they're not just. I'm located just outside the Arboretum, so they're obviously extending even to here. Okay, so the first question was about the illuminations. We didn't know what year they were, but it's a clue because this particular photograph is, I think, one from the press, and this one does have a date. So 1933, and the statue is Henry Royce of Rolls-Royce. So, you know, very important in Derby. The illuminated building is 1936, and that's the building I would call the Market Hall, but it's listed as the Town Hall. So if anybody, it's the old Town Hall. If anybody gave either of those answers, that's absolutely fine. And then down the bottom, I confused everybody, I hope, a little bit, because the illuminations here on the gate which isn't in use at the moment on Harriet Street, the illuminations say ER. But it's not Elizabeth, it's Edward VII and his coronation in 1902.
1902, my goodness.
Yeah. So
and you've got some more for us to guess this week as well.
Hi, Nanda. I've got some more. Here we are.
And these ones, do they have a theme today?
Yes, they do. Just a theme of people on the park. And I think I've got 3 today. So this is a bank holiday Monday, presumably an Easter bank holiday Monday, because people are sitting around the bandstand listening to a band, you know, really hardy folks with their umbrellas in the snow. So what year do you think that might be? And then the next one coming up is another one of the nannies and the prams, or, you know, whoever, mums and prams, from a while ago. Look at the fashions, look at the gardeners, all the people working on the park, the little lad in the background.
That's got to be turn of the century, surely.
Well, and then she's not going to let on, you know. And then then there's this one. All these lovely guys sitting on the Broad Walk or the Fountain Walk, reading the Sunday newspaper.
And just relaxing.
And just
Excellent.
Relaxing in the sun. It's beautiful, isn't it?
And you're going to put those on Facebook, and people can guess the dates.
Day. Oh, I do have one more. Here you are, another one with fashion clues. This was again in the snow, absolutely frozen fountain. The fountain did freeze several times. We have photos, I think, from 3 different years. Anyhow, this was the only one of the 3 that I could find with people on for my theme of people on the park. So that's the last one. And when we come off this live stream, I will post them on Facebook, and I'll try and do it straight away. Sometimes I get distracted by other things. Today, I shall try and do it straight away.
Straight up there.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
well, fantastic. Well, those are
okay.
the 4 as a group. Yeah, excellent. So they're going up on Facebook very, very shortly.
Okay.
And back to the Derby Arboretum television studios, or the orangery in the park. And I think they're doing a fantastic job dealing with some technical issues that we've been having there. So brilliant job. And we have who's just popped in to chat to us, Nanda Savage. So she's on Jimmy's terminal, so ignore the name Jimmy. It is Nanda Savage. And Nanda, hi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming in. And I understand you're a youth community worker, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And you walk through the park on a regular basis. What's your involvement with the park?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've born and bred in Derby, so I've known this park since I was a little girl. So I've learned to ride my bike here. My kids have come here. But as a worker for the authority as well, I bring a lot of young people who live out the area or don't always get a chance to come to the local park. We are in partnership with Spiral Arts, have done various activities, and also the Friends of Arboretum Park joined in activities that we've planned over the last few years. I think it's a really lovely park that's beneficial to the whole community. I've just seen some young people learning to ride their bikes with an organisation. I've seen older Asian ladies who are doing their daily exercise. So this park is utilised by a lot of people, and I think it's a credit to Derby City as a whole of Derby that we've got this park, really.
Yes, I mean, that's wonderful, and also wonderful that you are actually bringing people to the park, young people to the park. Who would you say is your sort of furthest group or furthest individuals from the Derby Arboretum that you're bringing here?
I think we've had young people from Sunny Hill, young people from around Oaklands Avenue down there. So most of the areas like Blaygreaves, the surrounding areas, they do come in to the park.
And do you choose Derby Arboretum especially, or do you bring the people and your young people to other parks as well in Derby? Because Derby does have a lot of parks, doesn't it?
We have some really nice parks in Derby, and yes, we use other parks as well, but it depends on what project we're doing, especially, like I said, in links with Spiral Arts and our Derby Friendship Group, Arboretum Friendship Group. So obviously it's really good to have intergenerational work happening. It's good to have young people seeing different projects. So yeah, I do take young people to different parks as well, because I do think that's a real good resource for young people to have an activity based, whether it's physical or arts and craft, meeting different people.
And what do you think the young people that you bring to the park, what they get out of it? What are their reactions that you see in them when you bring them to the Derby Arboretum?
I think obviously one of them is telling them about the history of the park. I think that is so important. Our young people are our future. So if we don't tell them what's happened, how this park came about, it's a learning process. And they might not always take it in straight away, but I've had young people come back and say, I remember you saying this park was the first park. So I think it's a combination of lots of stuff. It's space, it's somewhere for them to learn new activities. And each park has different things on it. So it's learning about the history, it's learning about the space, it's learning about having somewhere for them to go.
And what is the association with Spiral Arts? What type of activities do you do on the park with them?
We tend to do a lot of arts and crafts, so it's working with young people. It's bringing in, we recently done a project on hate crime. We've been doing work around mental health, anxiety, so using art as a form to work with young people around issue-based stuff.
Fantastic. And you bring people to the park, and do you come to the park on your own yourself and enjoy the park?
I definitely do. Yes, I really do. I mean, like I said, I learned to ride my bike here. I taught my kids to ride their bike here because I live in the local community. I think it's something that should be used, definitely. And I encourage other community members to use it as well.
So did you watch one of your children actually balance for the first time on their bike in Derby Arboretum?
I did, yeah. Just letting go of that seat, and then they were gone. Yeah.
Is that a wonderful memory for them? That's the sort of thing you remember, isn't it? The first time you learnt to ride a bike.
Absolutely. And I think I've seen the park change quite a bit. You know, obviously we've had new sports facilities put on, and then the local football teams are using it. You know, it's just a really good resource in the community.
And in the past, I suppose, people could learn to ride their bike, or they could play in the streets. But of course, with the car being so prevalent now, that's a lot more difficult. So the Derby Arboretum offers that. Is even more essential for that kind of activity.
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, the cars grown and grown and grown over the years, and there needs to be a safe space. And I think Arboretum is a safe space for young people to learn new things like riding their bike or doing activities in a planned, organised way.
Well, that's fantastic. It sounds like the Derby Arboretum really has a special place in your heart, and you use it in quite a comprehensive way. We were hearing from Jimmy earlier on some ideas for how we might improve interaction and things that we could perhaps do on the park. Do you have, I mean, you obviously use it quite comprehensively, but is there any ideas that you have for the park and what could be done on the park in the future?
I think what we've started doing is a lot of community events. That's it with the Derby Arboretum Friendship Group. They're doing lots of community events. I think that's a really good way forward, getting the local community involved. And I know Sarah and Joe and various other people have been working with lots of different groups to encourage them to get involved. And I think that's the best way forward, really. The more people we tell about the Arboretum and the projects on Arboretum, the more people will join in.
Yeah.
And you're coming to all of the events like the Lark in the Park and
Absolutely.
the Illuminate and so on as well.
I usually bring lots of my young people along, so they take part or they volunteer and help on the day and stuff like that.
Well, Nanda, that's absolutely heartwarming. I mean, just listening to you and Jimmy is just God wants me to continue using the park as well and every day. And Joe, you had something you wanted to add.
Yes, I was going to say we've been on the park and school groups have walked through, and they have come from quite a long way away. I mean, they have walked in a crocodile from a school which is not in the local area, but are from the outskirts of Derby. The other thing I was going to say, of course, the Loudon Lodge, the building that we're renovating, will make it much, much easier to be running activities, actually on the park and reaching out to some of the other communities. We hope that will be ready for use. Well, let's just say mid-October. Let's just hope.
Well, and Joe, I have to say we're very lucky to have you chairing the Friends of Derby Arboretum and being involved as you are, because there's a lot of hard work I know that goes on behind the scenes, just bureaucratic things to get things launched and happening. And I know it's a constantly improving process as well, but it's just great to see just the diverse involvement in many different aspects, organising, people being on the park, the activities that happen, and just making it safe for everybody as well to using this park. Yeah. So many things that go on. So we're just a minute left, and so I want to kind of remind everyone, you really should watch this film. As I said before, it's probably one of the loveliest films I've seen for a long time. Again, very heartwarming. I think that's been the theme. So that's People on the Park, that's premiering at 11:15, so please do watch that. That's really lovely. And also following that, there is Luminate, so Memories of Luminate, so that light festival in the November time. And then we have, which was advertised on radio yesterday, Joe May and Francis Watt, percussion workshop. And I don't know if any of Nanda's children and young people that she's brought to the park has ever been part of any of those workshops that are often on the park on those events. But Joe May and Francis Watt have put a video together, and I've watched that, and that is just loads of fun. It really is entertaining. I will be watching that on its premiere. I've seen it already, but I will be watching it, and I will be getting spoons out of my kitchen drawer, and I will be giving it a go, because funnily enough, I've always thought, how do people do that? And so when you're in the pub or something, you want to give it a go later on at night, but here maybe I can actually gain that skill from this video. So some really great stuff to watch. And also, please do log in tomorrow and watch us tomorrow, because that's the last day of our festival, and that'll be the 9th day of the festival, and so we're getting as many people in as we can for that, just to celebrate the end of the week. So please do join us, and if you haven't subscribed already to the YouTube channel, as Joe mentioned before, we're hoping to do much more as we continue. So obviously it's been quite intense these last few days, where we've been uploading lots of premieres and doing all the live shows. So there's lots and lots to watch. If you haven't managed to get through it already, there's lots to go back and have a look at. Keep sending in, obviously, your balloons, your trees, etc. for #DerbyArbo 2020, and we'll be showing those that come in tomorrow. So there's still time to do that. So thank you very much for watching. I don't know if Jimmy is still in the room there at the Orangery, so a big thank you. I'm going to say it a bit louder just in case he is there and he can hear. A big thank you to Jimmy. A big thank you to Nanda Savage for joining us as well. It's a real privilege to have you there in the Orangery speaking to us, and I'm guessing Rowan and Claire are in the background. Well done on all the technical issues. You did a grand job. Thank you very much for this film, and we're going to watch that now and look forward to that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for watching the Derby Arboretum online festival, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock on YouTube's live show.